sponsors, and I hope you have a rest of a brilliant event. And I will see you, some of you, at the panel discussion in a few hours. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. You said you want to put this presentation in the link, or I hope you said
I
something.
will. I will
Okay.
share it in the Teams, and then if you guys
Sure.
want to share it afterwards,
Definitely.
and I can put some links to various things that I've mentioned into the chat, if that would be helpful as well. Is there any comments or? I think we've run out of time for my session, so I will.
No.
Okay. Oh, is there a way to export adoption score information from the M365 portal? Yes, there is, but I will. And if you struggle to find out about that, contact me or Nikki Chappell, and we can help you with that. But I will put in the chat now a link to basically that information and some other bits and pieces as well. So yeah, so that's the end of my session, and thank you for inviting me to speak.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. You have a great evening on
Thank you.
Saturday.
Thank you.
All
I'm
right.
joining the panel discussion, so I'll be popping up again later on. Thank you.
Yes, please do so. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Bye. Phil, are you there?
Yes, I'm
So,
here.
oh, wow. Nice to meet you. Good afternoon, or it's
Good
still good
afternoon.
morning?
No, it's good afternoon. It's good late afternoon for you guys, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. We have been in here for about 7 hours now. It's like in
Yeah.
8 hour we are right now for morning.
Let me know if you want to have a break before we start.
Yeah, maybe a quick 1 or 2 minute break would be helpful
2
for
minutes.
the guys.
2 minutes,
Yeah.
everybody.
And I can say hello to my boss.
Hey, Leslie.
Hello.
Haven't seen you in 5 weeks.
Oh my goodness, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fantastic.
Good. It's been a good week because we haven't spoken to each other, so not in a bad way, but we've obviously been really, really busy and heads down. So yeah, we haven't spoken, have we? So yeah, hello.
Hello.
Right. Have a great session. See you later on.
I can share my screen as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys work in the same organization, right?
Yep.
Cloudway.
Cloudway.
Okay.
It
Okay.
appears that productivity happens in the clouds. We will help you on your way. Cloudway. Yeah.
Oh,
Very.
okay.
Oh, I actually came up with that myself.
Nice. 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 I remember one of the companies who said Cloud EQ said they want to bring emotional questions towards the cloud,
Huh?
like the empathy, the productivity, and everything comes, but you have to be little bit, emotionally
Yep.
connected with your client, with your customer, and then when you feel them, and that's when you solve more challenges. So it reminds me of the other company named Cloud EQ.
Nice. Yeah, I totally get it, and it's kind of like that empathic approach to the cloud.
Yes.
And actually, that's a very good segue into what I'm talking about right now, because it's about all of you and how you can become more happy in your life and succeed with the tools through Viva Insight. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. So you're gonna present in about Viva Insight, which is the new topic for the audience because everybody talked in the past, the sales, the connection, you know, um, the uh, OKR, right?
Yep.
Viva
Viva
OKR
goals.
thing, Viva
Yep.
goals. Yeah, and I think this is a very often people get an email, Microsoft Viva Digest in the morning when they
Yeah.
start their work. It has an insight connection.
It's either super useful or not at all. So
Right, right. More to come. Yeah.
more to come. Yeah, absolutely.
I guess we can start. Uh,
All right. Yep. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and talk about one of my most passionate topics, which is Viva Insights and how you can start today on becoming more productive. So, first off, thank to our sponsors for putting this event up and the user group, and stick around for prizes, definitely. My name is Ståle Hansen. I'm from Norway, and I'm the CEO and principal cloud architect at Cloudway. And I'm a Microsoft MVP focusing on Microsoft 365 productivity tools, primarily Skype for Business, Teams, now Viva, and of course, Copilot. Actually, I'm not going to talk about Copilot today, but I guess someone has mentioned it already earlier today. I'm also Microsoft Regional Director, which means I work closely with the senior leadership within Microsoft and get to both learn from them and give them feedback. So that's great. I'm also part of Viva Explorers. What kind of role I have within Viva Explorers, I will talk about a bit later. But my session is about how you can maximize your productivity in Microsoft Viva Insights. And so there are two aspects of Viva Insights. One is your personal one, which is only for you and it's for your self-improvement. And I think we need to start there. But the other part, which I'm not going to talk a lot about today, is the organizational improvement that you can do, looking at trends and the culture within the organization. I still believe, though, that we need to start with ourselves and the individuals and how aware they are of working smart in Microsoft 365. So that's why I'm going to focus on that. I also have a YouTube channel. Maybe you have seen it. I talk about digital well-being. I talk about productivity in Microsoft 365. Have a couple of videos there with 60,000 views, 150,000 views. Check it out if you're interested at Ståle Hansen on YouTube. Here is my agenda. And I'm going to talk about focus time. I'm going to talk about task management. We need to talk about that as well because it's so embedded within Viva Insights. And then I'm going to talk about virtual commute, why that is important. And while I talk about these topics as well, I will also talk about kind of the philosophy behind them. So it's not just like, hey, here's a feature, good luck with that. It's more like, oh, here's why you should look into this feature, because there is kind of science and behind this, which underlines why you absolutely need to look into these techniques. Quiet hours, definitely something I will look into, and No Meeting Friday, which is built into the platform. It's fantastic, and we need to talk about these things. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the chat. I will try to follow along in the chat, or I will look at it at the end. So focus time. We need to talk about time boxing if you're going to talk about focus time. We need to look at the techniques behind focus time, because there's no point in having Viva schedule a focus time. I will show you how to do that. But we also need to know, how are we going to succeed with that focus time? And that's where time boxing comes into play. And there are a lot of books actually talking about this. And my favorite book is the Pomodoro Technique. Talks about focus for 25 minutes and do only one thing or your planned activities. Don't distract yourself going to social media. Don't go to your mailbox. Don't go to TikTok. For whatever you do, don't go to Reddit either, or your favorite news sites or whatever. That is what the Pomodoro technique is all about. I actually recommend looking into this. And I were in Italy a couple of years ago on vacation. And it turns out that Italians are very into the Pomodoro technique, or at least I thought so, because there were Pomodoros everywhere. Turns out, though, Pomodoro is tomato in Italian. So because he's an Italian guy that wrote this book, Francesco Cirillo, and Google Pomodoro technique, and you will find this information available for free. And that's where my avatar within the Viva Explorers comes into play as well, because this is like time boxing. As a manager, if I can teach you anything as an employee, as a colleague, as a friend, it is how to get things done through time management. And I think that's kind of like an empathic approach to this. And I think that's something leaders need to think about as well. Like, okay, I can't just tell you to be productive. I actually need to show you and encourage you and coach you into becoming more productive as well. And that's the more the empathic approach. But there are other books on this as well. Deep Work by Cal Newport, and of course, Getting Things Done. If you read self-help books, these are high up on the shelf. But literally any self-help book which talks about productivity says that focus on one thing at a time and set aside time to do it and be focused while doing it. That's what I talk about, and I think I summed up like a whole range of businesses here right now, what they focus on. So the thing is, though, this blows my mind actually. It's built into Microsoft 365. Mind blowing. And it is mind blowing. It's never happened before. And what does it look like? We need to take a look. So by going into Teams, and if you don't have Viva Insights app on your app rail here, you can go and find it by going through the three dotted line. Or if you can't find it there either, you need to have IT go into the Teams policies and enable it for you or for your organization. And everything I'm talking about here today is available in any Microsoft 365 license. So you don't have to have the Viva Insights premium license. You can do this out of the box with the licenses you have. So by going into settings in Viva Insights, you can set up focus time. So let's break this down. So focus time is not just adding a time in your calendar, it's so much more. First off, you tell the plan to how long do you want to have your focus time. You can have 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hours. And I recommend 1 hour, actually, not 2 hours, definitely not 4 hours. Because if you like every day or multiple days a week have like reserved half of the day always just to focus, people will stop respecting that time. They will start booking you anyway in your calendar. So it might not work as well as you want to. Rather, book 1 hour. And then when you review your future calendar the week before, maybe, then you can start extending these calendar events if you want to have more time or less time. But have at least reserve 1 hour and try to do it as often as possible. This service will do it for you. Next is, when do you want to have your focus time? Do you want to have it during the morning, or do you want to have it during the afternoon? Typically, people say that they are more productive in the morning, but if you are like me, maybe you're not. Maybe you are more in the afternoon. That's when you have built up enough speed in order to keep going. So it's totally up to you. And then you can also define like, okay, don't schedule before this and this time. So if I try to do it in the morning, I try to do it no earlier than 8:30 or maybe 9, because I actually need to get started as well and get into the office, which is like I think if I count my steps to the office, I think it's 4 steps, because my bedroom is right over there. But anyway, some of you might be commuting to work and so on and so forth. So there's no point in scheduling a focus time too early. Then, and now we're getting into the important stuff. So pay attention. Do you want a reminder? And if you ever have listened to me, you don't want reminders, but this one you want. Because the reason for that, and I'm going to show you. Are you ready? Are you ready for why you want to have this reminder? Boom. This is why you want to have it. It's a built-in focus timer. It's not just a focus time, but it's also a focus timer built in natively into Microsoft Teams. This was released in November 2022. So it's not old, but still have been here for quite some time now. And you only get this timer if you go in and get that reminder. So the moment before that focus time starts, that is when you get this reminder, and you can start doing these focus times. And that's exactly what the Pomodoro technique is all about. It's the first time in history that is actually built into the productivity tool. It's such a big deal. So now it's not just for people like me who read the book or even bought the Pomodoro timer like this. It's not just for us anymore. It's for everyone, which means that now we can start rolling this out in the organization. It's fantastic. But the next thing, we are not done. There's one more thing. Would you like to silence Teams chat notifications? This one is wrong, actually. Of course, I want to mute notification. And what are we talking about? Well, during that time in the calendar, you have focus time. You're also on Do Not Disturb. But you're not just in Do Not Disturb. You're also in a status called focusing. A custom state. Only way to get this state is to have that calendar event in your calendar. So you're telling your peers as well, you're not just busy, but like you're in deep work. Please don't disturb me, because yes, I will probably be that for the next hour. After that hour, I will come back to you. Don't expect me to answer, and please don't come and pat me on the back and ask me questions, because I am focusing right now. And if this becomes like a culture within your organization, people start respecting this, unless you have like 4 or 8 hours of focus, because no one is super focused for 8 hours. That's not impossible. So don't overdo it, because then people stop respecting this. Use it wisely. And then you have that timer. So let's talk a bit about that Pomodoro technique, because one thing is to have it within the app. Another thing is to actually know how to use it. So the goal here is to reach the flow state. The point is that getting into the flow state takes between 7 to 21 minutes, depending on how experienced you are. And if you always distract yourself through looking at your phone, talking to colleagues, getting coffee, and so on, you never get into that flow state. That is why, maybe in the evenings or early in the morning, that is why you are super productive, because no one is distracting yourself and no one is expecting anything of you, so you reach the flow state. What if you actually could induce that during daytime? That is what we are talking about here. So the moment during such a session, no more than 25 minutes. If you haven't done this before, though, start with, I recommend starting with 11 minutes. If you haven't done this before, 11 minutes actually seems like an eternity. And then increase the more and more you succeed. Because if you set 25 minutes and you super fail at that, then it's no fun. So it's better to master this and then increase the time slot, but no more than 25 minutes, because you need breaks as well, and then restart the process. So during this process, the moment you want to go to Facebook, that's a no. The moment you want to go to Twitter, or X as it's called now, that's a no. Or LinkedIn or Instagram or Reddit. No, you can wait. It's only 7 minutes left. You can do this. Your favorite news site. No, you forgot to get coffee, tea, or water. No, you will break your flow state if you get up and get that coffee right now. The second news site, which has probably almost the same news. No, there's something happening on your phone. Things are vibrating. I'm checking my phone. It's only Snapchat, right? So if something's happening on your phone, don't look at it. It's only 5 minutes left. You can do this. And whatever you do, don't look at TikTok, because then it's not minutes we're talking about. We're talking about hours that are disappearing. So this is you. If you thought it were your colleagues that were the problem, that's not correct. It's you who are the problem. And if you listen to the correct type of music as well, then you actually reach the flow state faster. So music with between 60 and 80 beat per minute, no lyrics, or if you're listening to lyrics, make sure it's your favorite band which you'll listen to forever. And because then you're not really listening anymore because you know everything by heart. So be mindful of the music as well. Use team certified headsets for noise canceling. And I even have a playlist. Let me know in the chat if you want to link to it, which helped me bring myself into focus mode. And it actually helps. I think I can reach focus state now within 7 minutes, maybe faster as well, because I've been practicing this for over 10 years. And then Viva Insights will give you a feedback, pat on the back, on your shoulder, like, you managed to do 4 times last week. That's fantastic. And I was like, yeah, that is fantastic. And now I'm happy. This is cool stuff. There's one more thing though, which happens during that focus time. It shows you some tasks, and the thing is here, this is where it's starting to see that the platform is more integrated than ever, which is it shows you tasks from Microsoft To Do. And where do they come from? That's very interesting. So that's why I want to talk about task management as well. And Lalit, I see that you wanted the playlist. I will link it to you at the end of the session. Fantastic. So we need to talk a bit about task management and why you should use Microsoft To Do. That's like the short version, use Microsoft To Do. The longer version is that To Do is your personal tasks. OneNote, it seems, is a note-taking tool. And that's coming from me, who were on the stage in 2016 and posted this YouTube video, which is actually over 132,000 views. I think it has 150,000 views now. I think I struck a nerve with the internet. And now it's not just about OneNote anymore, because this was before To Do. Now To Do is the center, but OneNote has a role. It is a note-taking tool. And then, of course, Planner is for group tasks. So if you look at this from a larger perspective within Microsoft 365, there are so many task elements within the Microsoft 365. But if we break them down, we see that it is To Do and Planner, which is at the core. Everything around siphons into those. And I'm not mentioning Teams here because Teams is just a view of To Do and Planner tasks. So it's nothing more than that. So To Do and Planner is where it's at. Of course, you can consume it through Teams if you want to. I just want to show you some examples on capture. So the point is, everything should go into To Do. That is your stash zone. So here's an example. I find a good comic I want to use in a talk or at a presentation or show my colleagues or whatever. But I don't have time to like store it right now or like post it in Teams or whatever. So I just want to save it for later. And how do I do that? What do I do here? So what I do is go to sharing, and I share via, and I share it to Microsoft To Do. And that's it. Now I can scroll on. Took me 3 seconds to do this. And this is so important, because don't think about where you're storing it. Store it to Microsoft To Do and then sort it later. It would show up in your task list when focusing, in your virtual commute, which I will show later. Here's another example. And Leslie, who spoke here earlier, we work close together in terms of marketing, in terms of customer stories, and so on. So she wanted me to take a look at the document. The point is, though, when I saw this, it was in the morning. I was about to go into a workshop, so I didn't have time. And now I'll show you a life hack. If you don't know this might change the way you relate to Teams for the rest of your life. Are you ready? So what I did, this works on the phone, on the PC, on the web, on the Mac, on Linux if you use the browser, any platform. You go to a 3-dotted menu, and then you go to create task. Did you know about this? And then it creates a task for you. Where does it go? It goes into Microsoft To Do. Fantastic. You know what happens after that? It gets shown if you do a virtual commute or a focus time, right? This is where the connected platform comes into play. So important. So, but it also have a link back to the actual discussion, which means that I don't have to remember where we talked about this, because that's a big challenge. Were it in Viva Engage, Teams, Outlook? Where did we talk about this? I don't remember. It has a link back to the conversation, so I don't have to remember. I don't have to search for it. Think about the time you're saving not finding things. So important. The third thing then I then want to talk about is virtual commute. So I would say focus time. If I'm of course talking from my own perspective here, but I think focus time is great to do in the morning and during the day when you have time, and then at the end of the day you reserve time for virtual commute within Viva Insights. So what is virtual commute? So virtual commute is also something you can configure as a reminder at the end of the day through Viva Insights and settings, and then you get this reminder. And literally, any self-help productivity book says this. At the end of the day, reflect of what you did, mind what you did not get to do, be happy with what you got to do, and plan your next day. That's like literally any productivity book. I don't know any, I haven't read any productivity book that doesn't say this. So again, built into the platform, people. So what does it do? Well, it shows me the next day of my calendar. And multiple times I have found that I either double booked, I forgot to prepare for a session, or I discovered I weren't at the home office tomorrow. I actually need to travel, and I didn't think about that. Do I know the address? Do I have a car, or how do I get there? I didn't think about this. I actually thought it was a Teams meeting. And those are the kind of things that you can then start preparing and plan for, and say, oh, I forgot to prepare for this meeting. Let me schedule an hour in the morning. I see I have time for that. Let me do that during my focus session tomorrow morning, and do that instead of scrambling to do it in the evening or forget about it altogether. Next is, again, here are the tasks you thought you were going to do today. You didn't have time to do them, and two things happen. One is the task isn't that important anymore, so you can schedule it for next week. The other thing is like, hey, this takes me 5 minutes, and I definitely need to do this today. Or I definitely need to do this today. I can't do it right now. Let me schedule it this evening. Let me schedule it tomorrow morning. Let me get up earlier tomorrow, um, and um, and get it done then, because now then I don't forget what I forgot. At the same time, and this is important, at the same time it clears out your head, so you don't have like a lingering task at the back of your head throughout the evening. And because if you feel uneasy, you're like, what did I actually forget? And then you are not quite sure, so you start paying attention to Teams, you start paying attention to emails to see if someone is asking you for anything, or if something is burning because you didn't do something but you don't remember what it was. So clearing this out makes sure that you are ready for the evening, ready for the weekend. It's so important. And then we come into more of the pseudoscience of this. But this turns out, turns out that literally any productivity book talks about this as well. Take a breather. Take a 1 minute just to internalize what's going on here. Slow down and think about, like, okay, if I clear my head for 1 minute, what pops into my mind? Because what pops into your mind is probably important. Either you note it down, or you have already done it, or you should do it tomorrow. And then this one, reflect on your day. And then the first time I saw Microsoft asking me, how are you doing? It's like, what is going on? And it's not just how are you doing, it is how are you feeling? And I was like, you've gone too far now. This is work, no feelings at work. But it turns out, I had to Google this. It turns out that the act of for 2 seconds, just reflecting of how you feel instantly makes you feel a tad better. But it's one more thing. You get to then reflect on why are you feeling this way? What happened? Why are you so super happy? What happened today that you can do more? Or if you're not that happy, maybe it's a very shitty day. And you can find out then what happened today and how can I avoid it in the future? Those little thoughts, so important. And then, of course, you can measure it as well. So you can start gamify this. Keep in mind that this information is for your eyes only. There is no IT way of siphoning this information at a larger scale. It's not included in the premium version either. So this is just for you. It's just for you. And provided through Viva Insights Virtual Commute. So important. Because now we have talked about focus time, how to start your day, induce the flow state as soon as possible. We know that we're going to use Microsoft To Do now in order to store our tasks and sort our tasks and so on. And then we know we can end our day with virtual commute. So now there's one more thing we need to talk about, which is quiet hours. We are now prepared ourselves for the evening, for the weekend, for the time off, and we don't. There is nothing burning. There is this nothing we haven't planned out. I have planned to work in the evening. Well, that's my choice. I have planned to work in the morning. Well, that's my choice. In the meantime, I don't have to be super available. So that is where quiet hours comes into the picture. So Viva Insights as well. This is again for you as an individual. Under well-being, you can actually see here how you're doing from an off-hour work perspective. And if you're not conscious about this, you might be checking unnecessarily in Teams, Outlook, Viva Engage, Viva Connections, wherever. You might unconsciously go in and check even if you don't have to. So just by doing this, I will guarantee you will get some less time working off hours. But there's more to this. And Microsoft has provided us some tools as well, so we don't disturb each other. I think this is bullshit. I think this is using technology in order to solve a bad culture. So what am I talking about? Well, you can schedule a message in Outlook, in Teams, and I don't subscribe to this. And the reason for that is that I don't know when you are working. I don't know if you're working early tomorrow, late, half a day, full day. I don't know if you have a vacation. I don't know. So if I schedule a message for you, it might arrive for you the wrong time. So I believe that if you get distracted when I send you a message, it's actually your own fault. And especially if you work at a global company, this is even more important because, you need to protect yourself. You can't expect everyone to know your time zone, your work hours, your thoughts about when you want to work. I don't know. So it's your own fault, actually. So what can we do to avoid this? Well, there's something called quiet time in Viva Insights, and you can gamify this as well. And this is me at peak capacity. 4 days during a month is the time I didn't distract myself or maybe my team even. So it's not that impressive, really. You can do better than this. I bet you can. But it's my choice. I'm aware of this. But I actually got to do it on a Saturday and Sunday, a couple of weekends. So that's fantastic. Worst case, maybe I didn't have any days I didn't go in and check. So important. So what you can do is go into settings and go to protect time. You can configure quiet time. And it also now supports Outlook, which is fantastic as well. Because, you don't need meeting reminders for meetings you're not attending, but you are invited to them anyway. You don't need those chat notifications. And this is just about muting your notifications. It is not about logging off the app, uninstalling the app, inconveniencing yourself. just those notifications so you don't unconsciously go into work mode when you are doing something else. Maybe you're with family, maybe you're with friends, maybe you're trying to relax and disconnect. And that's quiet hours. So you can configure this through Viva Insights as well. You can go into the Teams mobile app in order to do this. And through Viva Insights Premium, a manager can roll this out for his or her colleagues. And this is important actually because quiet time is available for everyone, but no, not everyone feel they can take quiet time, if you understand what I mean. So having this be an agreement within the group, with your closest peers, and just tell them, hey, I'm using quiet time, so I may not respond in a timely manner when I'm off hours, but I will see it when I log back on Teams. And even better, if it's your manager doing this, then you are entitled to do it. And it's such a huge difference doing that. So even within Cloudway, we are 10 MVPs working at Cloudway, and even and like we are super passionate about technology, but it made a huge difference when we actually rolled this out as a feature within the group. It changed the culture overnight. And combined with that culture, we did one more thing. We did no meetings Friday. And I understand that like having a no meeting day is utopic for a lot of us. And I get it. I get it. And the reason why I get it is that if your workday is so saturated with meetings, if your workday is so saturated with after-hour work because it cannot induce flow state, if your workday is saturated with you trying to remember what you have forgot, definitely having a no meeting Friday is difficult. And also what Leslie talked about, work out loud. If you don't do that, and I have a conversation with you and you have a conversation with your colleague, and then we need to have a meeting in order to sync up, right? But if you work out loud in Teams and Viva Engage, then indirectly we can follow the conversation and maybe save a couple of meetings. But it turns out, though, having a no meeting Friday, there are two things about this. One is, or Wednesday or Monday, whatever, well, no meeting day. One is that you can focus. You can actually run multiple Pomodoros and get things done. Maybe prepare for the weekend, prepare for your vacation, prepare for the next day. Turns out you need time to do your work, and not everything happens in meetings, even though you have workshops and you have work meetings as well. And the second thing is that this is when you can do other stuff as well. Maybe you need to do some internal training for cybersecurity. Maybe you need to go to the dentist, whatever. Instead of spreading those out during the other days, try to reserve that for the day when no one is expecting anything from you. Thing is, Viva Insights reports on this. This is so cool. And it actually has a feature within Viva Insights as well. And this is maybe the feature I need to let you know that this is part of the premium Viva Insights. So this is not for you personally, because you can always book a no meeting day in your calendar, but I can roll out as a manager and see how many meeting minutes, but I can roll it out as a manager that it goes into your calendar. And then I can get feedback for my team. How many meeting hours? Were we able to reduce meeting hours? Were we able to have some uninterrupted focus hours? I can take a look at this on a company level or for my team. The team needs to be bigger than 10 members so that we're looking at the trends here. We're not looking at individual productivity. So this is what you're looking at. So we want to look at meeting hours, right? If you're doing this, and Viva Insights reports on this directly. If you go here to the bottom, to the bottom of this picture, you see percentage of meeting hours. Here is our meeting, no meeting Friday. It actually works, 5% instead of 33% or whatever. 5% of the meetings, a huge reduction. It actually works, and that's so important that we actually managed to do this. But what you can do is coordinate then a no meeting day built into the platform. Such a big deal. And this is what it looks like. You can say what day it is, who should I schedule it for, should it happen weekly, maybe twice every month or monthly or whatever. When should we start? When should we end? What's the status we should have? Should we have working elsewhere, out of office? What should we have as a status here? And then what's the title here? And we use a hashtag within our company because then we can actually look at that as well using Graph API and look at the calendars and see if it's there and so on and so forth. But that's something we do. But yeah, so it's built in the platform. And the thing is, though, there is a philosophy around this. And it's called the 4-day work week by Andrew Barnes. And in Cloudway, we actually rolled this out way before it was available in Viva Insights. So I'm just going to link you the article we wrote on why we did it and what kind of expectations we had doing it. So I'm just going to find the article here right now. It's actually some time. It's like 2 years since we did it. So I need to sort of like scroll down here. I will link you the article because I don't have time to go through it in detail. But this is kind of the thinking we had by why you should do this. But definitely, that's where you get to focus. That's where you get stuff done, and that's when you can do like private appointments if you can, of course, and so on. But there's an effect here as well. You become actually more productive when you are productive. Yeah. It turns out, though, my reflection of this thinking, focus time, task management, virtual commute, quiet hours, and no meeting Friday. So here's my takeaway. Time is relative. Yep, came up with it myself. What do I mean? Well, there's a huge difference, people. There's a huge difference between having a focus hour and having a not so focused hour. You get so much more done. And which means that, yes, we can't get more than 24 hours during the day. That's true. So which means we need to work smarter during the day, during the hours we are productive. You need to be super productive when we are productive, and we need to be off when we're off. So important. What blows my mind, it's built into the platform through Viva Insights. So huge. And that is all I wanted to say. If you want to dive deeper into this, check out my YouTube channel. Also, if you want to like, hey, how can I get better at tasks and stuff? I have like a deep dive video on that as well. So I will link you that video in the chat, but it's the wrong link. Sorry, that was the correct link. So and then you can like start like digging really deep into that. You probably have lots of questions like, okay, what's the details around this? Well, it's on YouTube, so have a look. Thanks for your attention, and I will check chat as well if you have any comments or questions. Thanks a lot. So yeah. Yeah, so that playlist. I need to then open Spotify and share that link to you.
That would be great.
Definitely.